Thank you, ladies, for joining us this morning for our breakfast webinar. So some of you may have been to our live events, which are usually quite fun, around wine tasting, gin tasting, those types of things, but always having interesting topics and speakers. And that's something that we wanted to continue during COVID and the lockdown period, but we've made them into webinars. Moving forwards, we will start to bring back the live events when we can, but we will also have the virtual series, which is going really well. And we're getting a lot of interesting ladies and topics that we're speaking about. Before I get started, also this is recorded, so if you don't want to be on recording, I guess just don't show your face. And also with questions, if you can just ask in the chat window, and also just raise your hand. Just a little bit of etiquette around the webinar, just to make it run smoothly. So a little bit around us. So we're Crimson. We're part of the global recruitment company, the Harvey Nash Group. We are a recruitment and Microsoft solutions company founded in 2001. Women in tech events. This is something that I felt like when I was speaking to a lot of people within my network, a lot of women wanted to get together. They had a lot of the same challenges, a lot of the same pain points, and I guess a lot of the same questions that they're asking me. So I wanted to set up a forum where like-minded ladies can get together, we can all meet, mingle, but also share topics, pain points, share challenges, but also then help each other grow, help each other with things that we're going through that maybe we don't feel as comfortable to talk to others about. So get insightful speakers, open discussions, there's no judgment around here, be as open as you want to be, share your ideas, and also ways of working, ways that things have worked for you, find solutions to our problems and to our challenges, and most importantly, have fun and meet others. So a little bit around me. So I am the partner manager for Crimson. My background is CIO headhunter for the Harvey Nash Group. I've also spent time at Holland & Barrett as resource partner, and at Crimson looking after senior appointments, and I now look after our strategic partnerships for Crimson. I also created the CIO candidate workshop. So it's a candidate workshop where we really add value to people who are looking for roles in that senior space. So helping you around where to look for roles, your CV, your approach and style, and also now that everything's digital, how to develop your brand online, but also how to be spotted for those opportunities. I enjoyed traveling, fitness, things like Tough Mudder. I've just got a puppy during lockdown, which I think a lot of people have, which is keeping me very busy, and also spending time with family. Vic?
Hello. So I'm Vicky. So I've been at Crimson for about over 4 years now. So I started kind of off in the contract fulfillment and worked my way up there, did like 360 recruitment, and now on to the senior appointments as a researcher. So like Hasia mentioned, myself and my colleague Chris, we now kind of take over these CIO workshops and help run these. So obviously if anyone on the back of this is looking for a role and would want to join, we do have one on the 26th of August. So please let me know, and obviously you can join that workshop and I'll send you the details for it. Bit of a thrill seeker, so I like to do, it's still on my tick list, but I do want to do like a skydive, but I've done like the swings and things like that. Socialising, love a good bit of food. But yeah, and then I like to do kind of charity events as well. So I don't think I'll be doing one again, but I did a half marathon last year, so that has kind of consumed my time.
Thanks, Vic. So we've got a really interesting speaker lined up for you all today. So Sonya Barlow, she's an award-winning entrepreneur, TEDx speaker and podcast host and diversity consultant. And what she's going to be discussing today is around personal branding and how to harness the power of it. It's more important than ever now to make sure that you're standing out. Things have all been challenging times for most people, so it's really important to work on yourself and work on how you're going to be seen in the market as well. So Sonya, over to you.
Thank you so much, and good morning, everyone. I appreciate this is quite early for some of us, but thank you so much for taking the time to come on today. Before I start the presentation, I just want to make one thing really, really open and clear, that this is your time to really invest in yourself. So please ask questions and get involved in the chat, and really make sure that you leave here today feeling like you know exactly what to do next and how you can harness your personal brand, and most importantly, succeed with your personal brand. I do have a slide deck to go through, which I'm going to talk over. At the same time, I'm looking at the chat function, so please do keep kind of, you know, using the chat function and kind of sharing what you may be thinking or any questions you may have. At the same time, please do kind of take out a notepad or use your laptop just for the bit of a homework or the key takeaway tasks that we'll have as we go through. Some of these slides will be sent to you afterwards as a little cheat sheet so that you have something to work from as a workbook afterwards. And do connect with me on LinkedIn, because actually the first step to having a great personal brand is also building your community and connecting with others online. So before we start off, of course, many of us don't actually know each other. So I'd love it in the chat if you could tell me what your name is, your full name. Please do include where you work, what your title is, what is your one-line pitch. So, you know, for mine, I am an award-winning entrepreneur, podcast host, and diversity consultant. That's my like one-line pitch, let's say. And what is your 2020 goal? Now think of this both personally and professionally. You can answer it from both angles, but I want to know, what is your goal? Is it to hire a new team? Is it to progress into into a senior leadership role? Is it to build your connections up and gain new leads? That obviously seems like it's from a professional sense, but the truth is your personal brand has such a big part to play in your future business, in scoping out work, and most importantly, in the promotion of yourself. So it'd be great if in the chat you could just start a little bit of an introduction, just same way we would do if we were offline. So your names, your titles, your one-line pitch, and your goal. Great. I've seen one come in. Thank you so much. Trusted technology and business change advisor to senior execs. That's a great one-line pitch, especially because it has the word trusted. We increase profitability through increasing productivity of teams through well-being and development. Such an important aspect of life right now, especially as we are all online, you know, and digitally working in this I don't like the term new normal anymore, so I'm going to say in this kind of in the adapted normal, or in what normal should have been. If you think about it, why were we ever working in such difficult conditions before? But yeah, thank you for that. It's really important for us to know how to introduce ourselves. And as women in tech, and especially women in senior leadership in tech, unfortunately, most of our kind of most of the imposter syndrome kicks in when we're asked to introduce ourselves, when we're asked to get involved, when we're asked to be able to promote ourselves and what we do. And so just kind of, you know, first tip of the day, if you are in an offline networking situation, or equally you're in an online networking situation, please do use these three things to introduce yourselves, just in the chat function, or when you are now going up for coffee meets. And just make sure that you know you can successfully identify what your 2020 goal is and tell the other person, because they may be the one who's able to provide that goal for you or help you to achieve it. A little bit about me. So I graduated in 2015 and fell into the world of tech. I think I'd used the word falling because I pretty much said yes the first job that came along, because I just didn't want to be a graduate without a job. But luckily I fell into the world of tech, analytics and insight, working for dunnhumby, which is the founder of Tesco Clubcard. I then progressed my way up working to Merkel Aquila, who are a data consultancy and analytics agency, and became their lead consultant for E.ON Energy, based in Germany. So I was traveling about twice a week between London and Dusseldorf. And then I ended up working for a fintech consultancy, managing stakeholders in large banks across Europe, working on digital transformations, managing technical teams, and most importantly, supporting senior stakeholders in how they could best use technology to drive efficiencies within their business. It all sounds great and it all sounds fun. But what I realized about 2 years ago was I didn't really have a friendship group, and I didn't really have a community of other like-minded women in tech. Being a woman of color, I often found myself as the only one in the room, and most importantly, just being a woman, and quite a young woman. And if we bring age into it in terms of experience, again, I found myself not only the only one in the room, but often being challenged when it came to my age or my experience or the professionalism that I took forward. And after searching for a community and unfortunately not being able to find one, especially in London when the average networking event was around £51, out of frustration, I decided to build one. So like-minded females came about overnight via a LinkedIn group. So just for context, I hadn't had social media for 3 years. I had about 200 connections on my LinkedIn, and I just kind of went for it, and I made this closed group and invited all my connections and was like, hey, we're gonna talk about life and career and progression. 2 weeks later, I was like, wow, I'm now going to take this conversation over brunch because I absolutely love avocados. I'm assuming you do too. Women want to meet each other for breakfast. Let's do this. Unfortunately, no one showed up to the first brunch. No one showed up to the second or the third. But what that did teach me was the importance of personal branding, right? Tip number 2, before we even start this session, people buy into people. Why would somebody want to come to my brunch or this community brunch when they'd never heard of me? Or if they went on my LinkedIn, they didn't quite know what I was about or what I was looking for. And at the same time, I had really no reference and no credibility. Kind of long story short, in 2 years, in 18 months to 24 months to be exact, I have grown that brunch kind of idea. So 12 people didn't even show up originally, to a global social not-for-profit enterprise with a mission statement to change the narrative of inclusion by enabling and empowering women and minoritized groups into tech, business, and entrepreneurship. We have a social following of over 17,000. In 12 months alone, I personally have delivered 110 workshops, worked with over 50 corporate partners and clients, hosted over 40 events, including brunches, including luncheons, including meetups, including really fun, interactive exercises for us to grow. We've transitioned from from like-minded females to LMF network and made it inclusive. And I think one of my biggest successes, if not two of my biggest successes, is I've been asked to deliver 2 TED Talks within a space of 6 months, just due to having a LinkedIn profile which was booming and working on my personal brand. And so today I sit here as an award-winning entrepreneur, the founder of LMF Network, CIC. So I am currently running a not-for-profit community and a profit and commercial consultancy, working with community members to upskill them through life skills workshops, community building, online support, and mentorship schemes, and working with corporate partners to allow them and educate them on how to be more diverse and inclusive, coaching senior leaders in the power of personal branding, public speaking, and presentation, as well as launching a podcast called Strategically Winging It, which is all about interviewing senior leaders, founders, side hustlers, and entrepreneurs, and showcasing their real story. And in 8 weeks of us being online, we've already had over 1,000 downloads and 8 episodes. So you can find that online. The reason that I'm here today is pretty much because I want you to be able to both succeed with your personal brand and harness your personal brand. I see there's loads of conversation going on in the chat, which is great. That's exactly what I wanted, and we discussed at the beginning of this session. So please keep it coming with your introductions, with your pitches, with your goals. The way to a successful personal brand is in 6 steps. So first, you have to understand your identity, right? What's your value drivers? Who are you and what do you stand for? The second is your goal, and that's why that goal setting exercise when you introduce yourself is so important. Third is your audience. So who are you speaking to? Who are you trying to attract? When it comes to self-promotion, you're always trying to build credibility first. So your audience can be anyone and everyone, as long as they are relevant to the goal that you've set. Then the last 3 steps are more proactive. So the investment of time, resources, and effort, the engagement that you're receiving, and the validation through data and what analytics are telling us through our social profiles. This session is going to be heavily focused on LinkedIn, because if we were able to very much master LinkedIn, then we can master our CV and we can master our conversations offline. Since having LinkedIn, so again, I only started working on my personal brand in Jan 2019. I woke up in Jan 2019 and my kind of year goal and my New Year's resolution was to strategically wing it. And that is now the title of my podcast. And what that basically meant was anything I could do 10 or 20% of, I would say yes to. And my kind of progression went like this, extremely steep. But at the same time, I got to August 2019 and had an advisory board come in who were awesome, but they also told me that I was really noisy and they didn't quite understand what I stood for. And so I took a step back and really started to think about my personal brand. What do I want to be known for when you're outside? So I ask you all that question, what do you want to be known for? Why should someone engage with you? And really, how do you add value? So here's some of the things I've done through LinkedIn, which I'm going to help you all to do as well. I promise you and guarantee you, if you follow this guide and if you really kind of commit, you can do the same as me, if not more, to be honest. So top 1% of LinkedIn connections grew from 200 to 9.1K in 12 months. An average post of mine reached about 8,000 people. 80% of my business leads are generated through LinkedIn, and my company page for LMF Network CAC has gone from 0 to 5.1K in 6 months. Why are some of the reasons that you all want to build your personal brand? So again, I'm going to open this up for the chat as well. Please do tell us why you're on this call today. Why do you want to harness the power of personal branding? Is it for promotion? Is it for community and friendship and new relationships? Is it for news and articles and to trend as a thought leader? Or is it to gain more experience as a panelist, as a speaker, as somebody who has information to share, and be able to gain really those opportunities where you, such as this, are deemed as a keynote or deemed as the go-to change maker? So what is it about personal branding? What is about harnessing your personal brand that you really want to commit to today? And please do consider that commitment and that goal as I take you through this workshop, because it will help you to identify your pains, your gains, your value adds, and what you can do next. So a great one's come in: to understand how to be a thought leader without being noisy, as I call it. That's such a great example to start with, and so please do consider that as you go through this workshop. The noise element is definitely there, and especially as we get to senior positions, as we get to more fruitful positions and you know, start putting ourselves out there, we want to be known for a range of things, but we want to be the go-to person. What I mean by noisy is you're a jack of all trades, but you're not really a master of any. So when someone thinks of tech, you're not the first person they think of, you're maybe the fourth or the fifth. You want to try and be in the top 3. Another great example is come in as gain network and an opportunity to see what's out there for me, definitely. Another one is I'm here as I'm looking to secure my first COO position. So yeah, we can definitely help you with that. So the first thing I want you all to consider, and this is when that identity comes in, is what are your drivers? So what is your vision, your mission, your value, or your principles? Your vision focuses on tomorrow. Your mission focuses on today, and your value or your principles are the ones that drive decisions. So an example, my vision for 2020 is to, as you know, as an example, and I'll give you a really honest example because I've got things in the work. My vision for 2020 is to be seen as a thought leader in tech, business, and entrepreneurship, but most importantly, to secure sponsorship for my podcast, right? So that's my vision. My vision is to have the go-to podcast when it comes to career, business, and entrepreneurship, right? My mission, therefore, are smart, attainable goals that will allow me to get to my vision. So The vision is to secure my podcast as the go-to podcast for career, business, tech, entrepreneurship. My mission, therefore, is allowing myself to be in a position where I'm setting myself attainable milestones. So examples being, for me to have the go-to podcast, I need to be able to secure episodes. So it's making sure that once a month I have at least one episode out. It then includes marketing. So it means for each episode, I need to make sure I have at least 3 different marketing content strategies out there. But at the same time, people buy into people. So I have to make sure that I'm working on my own professional and personal marketing and personal brand. So my LinkedIn currently, my mission is to grow it to 10K by the end of the year. My Instagram is to grow it to 7K by the end of the year. And that's because if I want to be seen as the go-to podcast host in career, business, entrepreneurship, and tech, then my profile should be reflective of that. And so my values and principles, they drive your decisions. And going back to that point of you want to be seen as a thought leader, but you don't want to be noisy, I want you to think of maximum 5 things that you want to be known for. So for myself, I want to be known for tech, diversity, business, entrepreneurship, and let's say confidence building or personal branding as my 5th. What that means is anything that's outside of these 5, I'm now saying no to, or I'm moving and redistributing to my friends or my colleagues or my network. So the tip there is when an opportunity comes through and it's not the right fit for you, please just don't say no. Please think of someone in your network or your community that you can refer instead. And that's really how the woman will help the woman to collaborate and to grow and to build that sense of community. So for everyone who is on this call today and for anyone that's listening, please give yourself a minute to think about what is your vision. So your vision for 2020. What is your mission? So how are you setting SMART goals? So SMART is specific, measurable, ambitious or achievable, measurable and kind of time specific. So we're thinking about 2020 here. And your values and your principles are what drive the decisions. Why this is such an important exercise is I only kind of base this reference on my podcast, but it's the same as if I wanted to write a book. In 2020, one of my kind of, on my vision board was to get a book deal and to secure a book deal with a publisher. So my vision is to be the go-to author when it comes to business, entrepreneurship, tech. My mission, therefore, is taking a step back and thinking, well, how am I going to get that? Of course, if you want to secure a book, you yourself have to be seen as a thought leader. So what are the opportunities where you're speaking at? Are you writing articles? Are you sharing blogs? How is your current engagement online? What does your social profile look like? How are people engaging with you, with your content? And most importantly, are they allowing you to grow from not only a number of following, but from a number of likes? What are you doing with your business? Because your business is extremely creditable and relevant to the book that you may want to write. And lastly, why you? Why should someone pick you? So is it your network, your community, or your story? And how are you sharing that continuously? So if I'm on this call today, I said one of my ambition is to host a book deal, is to accomplish a publisher, and I've shared my vision, my mission, and my principles with you all. Maybe there's someone on this call thinking, hey, we'd love to find out more about what you have to offer, your story. Let's grab a coffee. And that's also why having a clear steer on your drivers is so important, so that when someone asks you or this conversation comes up, you are so clear and you are so defined that the other person will go away and remember it. So when an opportunity comes up, they'll think, hey, well, actually Sonya said she wanted that and she was really clear in what she wanted. Let me get back in touch with her. So please definitely let me know in the chat, what is your vision, your mission, your value, your principles? What comes to your head? Where does your mind go when I say these things? And most importantly, always ask yourself why. So there are some comments in this chat where someone wants to write a book deal and have a creditable profile to support it. So definitely your drivers will enable you to do that. There are others to confidently grow a network whilst building your venture. that's a great kind of, top line goal. But if your vision is, what is your venture? What do you want to be the go-to for? Your mission, what does that look like? So the number of clients, even, for example, or the industries you want to work with, and your values and your principles, again, your core 5 that are going to drive your opportunities. So someone's added ethical, value add, professional, and caring for people. Definitely they're your values and your principles, but also add something a little bit more tangible. So are you just going to focus on the tech industry? What about if you're in the creative industry? What about innovation? Are you just going to focus on business? Are you going to focus on just technicalities or kind of the softer skills? Really get into the niches so that when opportunities come along, again, you are the go-to person. And your personal brand is what's going to help you elevate there. Here's some values and principles that we can think of today. So values include resilience, boldness, honesty, patience, compassion, balance. Principles: seek first to understand, so understanding others' points of views, careers and relationships, set audacious goals, prioritizing execution, measuring progress. Again, these are very much based on the value proposition canvas that has been created by Alex Osterwalder. But at the same time, we're just rejigging it and retransforming it to make it really relevant to the personal brand that we have and how we can take that forward. There is absolutely no right or wrong in this. There's only relevant and clear. So as long as your vision, mission, your values are relevant and clear, you're on the right track. And again, you don't have to have this set in stone right now. Take, I would say, about a week to reflect and to think and really to narrow them down, and then go back to them every 3 months. Here's some of the steps you can take to define your drivers. So when were you the happiest? When were you the most proud? Identify the times where you were the most fulfilled and satisfied. Determine your top values based on experiences of happiness, pride, and fulfillment. Prioritize your top values and reaffirm your values. And what reaffirming means is, either take some time out and go back to them in a few days and think, right, I believe that's what I've said, and that's exactly what my drivers are. Or again, look at them every 3 months and think of it as a quarterly task. And when you do define your drivers, please don't think this has to be just professional. They can be personal. An example being, when am I the happiest? I'm the happiest when I'm conversing with others and when I'm talking, to be honest. But what I realized is, it's not the talking that makes me the happiest. It's the educating others and learning from them. So I realized that those are my 2 really strong drivers of mine. It's enabling and educating others, so supporting them to be their best selves and the most successful self, and then learning from them so I can become my best self also. And ultimately, we've spoken about our identity, and then we go into our goal. So you should by now know what your goal is for 2020, and you've already shared that about twice or thrice now already, and we're just reaffirming our goal so that we know what we're setting in stone and how our personal brand is going to help us to harness that goal and really thrive and achieve it. And as I mentioned, I can guarantee you that if you work on this solid and kind of use what I've shared, you will most definitely achieve your goal by the end of the year, or at least in the next 12 months. And the most important thing to remember is people buy into people. So again, we had the questions in the beginning. Why should someone buy into you? Where do you add value? Why should someone engage with you? People buy into people. Over 85% of your opportunities are going to come through your network, are going to come through your immediate circle, or at least kind of your associated circle. That's why it's really important for them to know what you stand for and what your goals are, and most importantly for them to see what your personal brand is and how you're building it up to secure those next future opportunities. So now let's talk about how we can reflect our personal brand on LinkedIn and using social media. And social media is such an important tool right now. I have a number of senior leaders who I'm currently coaching, and they, before coming to the session, didn't quite understand the power of online personal branding and media. And most importantly, didn't quite know why they should be online and what they should be doing from a content perspective. So if you already are in a senior position, they just assume that your opportunity would come through your kind of, you know, the 5 or 10 people you know. But here what we're saying is, yes, it will come through the 5 or 10 people you know, but what about kind of, you know, multiplying that by 10 or even millions of people, so they can see what you stand for and opportunities can come organically. The 2 TED Talks that I've delivered, they were organic. They were because someone saw me online on LinkedIn sharing content that was relevant, got in touch with me, and I skipped the process. For those who haven't delivered TED Talks before or don't know the process, you have to go through kind of 3 or 5 interview stages even before you get sign off. So think about the stages I missed purely because my personal brand was so strong online. And that was only built up in about 6 months. So 80% of your opportunity leads come through LinkedIn. There are over 600 million users online, and the average person spends 10 minutes and 20 seconds on the site daily. So considering we've never met before, here is my LinkedIn. I'd love for you to share what you think about it. So on first kind of, I've completely lost my train of thought. But yeah, now that you've first seen it, what do you think about it? Good, bad, what stands out, what doesn't stand out? Anything that secures around the vision, mission, and values that I may have? Anything that you don't like even? I'll let you converse in the chat, and also those who are watching afterwards, just kind of, you know, shout at the screen to be honest. So great, speaker, motivational, happy, bubbly person. I'm glad that the bubbly comes out as well. I was one of those stats when I've worked in technology, and actually in my first job role, I was extremely energetic and super bubbly and passionate. And my manager was like, you need to leave your moods at home because this is a professional workplace and we work in tech. And I was like, that's really weird, but also it really demotivated me as a graduate, because I worked for an agency and everyone had their own personality, but what I didn't realize was there was a personality that they were conforming to and they couldn't really be themselves. And so, you know, I've made it a goal to be myself, and hence why I now have founded my own business and I run my own community, because for me it's really important that you are your most authentic self and that you can display that at all times, and no one should be, you know, making comments like you can't bring your whole self anywhere, because we are now in a time where you should be able to bring your whole self to work and to opportunities and you know, to any activity out there. So yeah, so speaker, motivational, happy, bubbly, reflection of my goals. Ultimately, with my LinkedIn profile, my vision is to be the go-to public speaker when it comes to entrepreneurship, tech, diversity, confidence building, and business, right? So that is what my LinkedIn's purpose is. My mission, therefore, is to be able to have one panel at least a month, to have at least 3 paid consultancy client workshops a month on diversity and inclusion, to have 5 new business coaching coaches every month, which I'm currently very successful at attaining. And I'm also launching a female founders program in September. Cohort 1 is sold out, so it's go from idea to side hustle in 4 months, and I've just launched the second cohort in October. And that's what I'm using my LinkedIn for right now, is really to gain new clients, to be seen as a thought leader, and to use the credibility and the reputation I have to earn new business. So great, confident, motivational, successful woman. So by no means am I using this to kind of hype myself up, but thank you for that. I'm just showcasing that this is what a LinkedIn profile can look like, and this is what helps me to succeed in my area, in my field. At the same time, not everybody wants to be a public speaker. So think about your heading, think about your headline. What does it say about you? Ultimately, you don't want it to be this traditional blue that LinkedIn has. So can you make it of the country you're currently working in? What about the landscape of like London, for example, because you're in London? What about showcasing an event that you've attended? If you are a business owner, if you're a founder and you're offering services or products, what about just having your email address up there or your one tagline? Or what about the tagline that you have at the beginning? Can you have that up there? If you're working for a company, what about having their logo up there? So you just want to be able to optimize your top half. You have 8 seconds to make an impression, just 8, right? So you want to make sure that your profile is how people know what you do, who you are, what you're reflecting. And so that's what my headline is. But your header, which ultimately I made on Paint, so it's just chop and screw on Paint. It's not even that kind of difficult. You want to be able to allow it and use it to reflect where you may want to be in the future. So I always think about living as your future self today, and my future self is the go-to public speaker. And so I want to really reflect that. Your profile picture, is it relevant and is it clear? Again, I took that on a selfie timer at home in April when COVID really started, and I had the camera aligned with the window, and my tea mug was holding it up, and I was just kind of smiling. Took about 30. This one came out strong. I now use it everywhere. So please, you don't really have to invest in like high tech. And especially during this period, don't worry if you can't get a professional photographer. Think about what you can makeshift at home. Headline, what are your hyphens? So again, those 5 things you want to be known for, or the goals that you want to set in the future. If you are currently transitioning between work or unemployed looking for work, really reflect that on your headline. Be like, looking for my next opportunity in. If you want to be a thought leader and you want to share wisdom on technology topics, but let's say in particular innovation, right, looking to share thought leadership on innovation, or ask me about innovation in tech, or talk to me if you want to know more about women in technology. So what are your hyphens? What are you currently doing? What are some of the achievements that you've obtained? And then where do you want to go in the future? Why should someone really attract with you? So as you can see from mine is reflective of where I want to be, right? So and when we started it, I talked about the podcast, I talked about the book, but ultimately what that is, the umbrella, or the umbrella, it kind of, what the umbrella here is, I want to be the go-to public speaker. And so these are just content or different paths that I can take to get there. So I've showcased my business, my TED Talk, the fact that I won awards, so helping to build credibility and reputation, and my Twitter and my Instagram handle, so you can just connect with me. And you kind of know that I'm creating a holistic personal brand here. And then you talk about your summary. So the first 3 sentences here are actually the only first 3 sentences that someone sees when they go onto your profile. So they need to be capturing. They need to reflect your goal, your vision, your mission, your statement, your values, your principles, or ultimately where you may want to go in the future. Again, mine is all about the credibility that I'm trying to build, because ultimately my vision is to be the go-to public speaker or thought leader in these 5 areas. Everything else underneath, you have to click on the little arrow that says show more, and I can guarantee you that a lot of people don't even press that. So yes, I've got a summary and experience and goals filled out, but it's really the top half of my top half that's engaging you right now, and that you're going to use to connect with me or to take forth with opportunities. So what have we learned from this? We need to optimize our top half. So some of the takeaways that you can now take away and start working on. What is your headline photo? Again, does not need to be a photo. It could be an area, it could be a country, it could be maybe you want to go in, currently you're based in London and you want to move to Singapore, it could be the Singapore landscape, right? So even think of it as your own like professional portfolio or vision board. Your profile picture, is it relevant? Is it clear? Your headline, think about your hyphens and try and have no more than 5 up there. And your summary, your experience, the first 3 sentences need to capture what you are and what you're looking for, and the rest is your experience. Your experience then moves on to LinkedIn sections of filling out your work experience. Your experience needs to be relevant. You need to detail it where possible, leading with skills, sharing impacts and successes. You have to have short descriptions where maybe you don't quite know what the successes have been. So I'm a workshop instructor for General Assembly. I don't have the information of those who have attended because I don't have their email addresses. I only know them kind of video to video. But at the same time, I don't have feedback forms. So I can't necessarily be like, here's the feedback that I've gained, but I can show you the courses I deliver and direct you to where you can find them. And then your voluntary experience is also equally important because it allows you to showcase your holistic personality and you as this all-rounded person. I have a client who's currently building out his business. So 10 years ago, he worked in corporate finance. He then quit corporate finance and started a PT business, and he's now going to men's health. He's never had a LinkedIn, so I'm helping him to build one up. The point is that his question, which I think may be relevant for everyone here, is, do I put all of my experience in? And the answer is no. There is no need for him to talk about his corporate finance experience, which was 10 years ago, if he's working on launching a men's health product in the next 6 months. But what is relevant is just implying it, maybe having a short description, definitely not detailing, but really bulking out the men's health part, the personal training part, the other experiences that he's had as a founder, as a lead, because when he can then, or when he's going to go and ask for investment and funding, and investors are going to go into his LinkedIn profile to see and to make sure that he kind of says who he says he is. Because, the same way that you're now researching a hotel you want to stay in or a holiday you want to take, or if a CV comes through, the same way someone is going to search you. And your LinkedIn should be, and normally is the first thing that comes up. So to that point, please don't feel like you need to add all your experience. Just think about what is your relevant experience for the goal that you're obtaining. What does that look like? There's certain work experience that I've completely missed out on my LinkedIn because they're not relevant for where I want to be and what I'm doing in the future. And again, we come back to this question, why should someone engage with you? And as deep as it is, there are, 600 million people on this platform. What makes you different? What makes you special? And what is your USP? So what is your unique selling point? How are you adding value? You have to clearly educate that and inform that and showcase that through your LinkedIn experience, through your personal brand. And at the same time, that's what's going to help you to achieve that COO position, or the new clientele that you would like, or that book that you want. That's what's going to help you get there, because you're answering these questions, which are so fundamentally important. And what can you start doing today? So you can post consistently at least twice a week. So what you can start doing today are all about introducing your connections to thought leadership. They are all about you boosting your profile so that others can see it. They are all about you gaining followers and engagement and attention, but also putting yourself out there and allowing yourself to be slightly vulnerable and promoting yourself so your next opportunities will definitely come your way. So to kind of meet the LinkedIn algorithm, you post consistently at least twice a week. Posting doesn't mean you have to build your own caption. It literally could be, here's a great article that I've read for other women in tech who are wanting to build some confidence. I think it will be of value to you. This is a great podcast I've listened to other women in tech who are wanting to, who are wanting to, or who are balancing work life and career with family and their own kind of wellness. This might be very relevant to you. Please take a listen. So it could be the content you're already engaging with outside, just sharing it online. Study and use quality hashtags, the same way you use hashtags on Twitter and Instagram. For those who have never used a hashtag before, it's hashtag woman in tech, for example. And it just means that anyone that uses that hashtag, if you're following it and if you're using it, that content will automatically show up in your feed and you can engage with that crowd. And that's another kind of hack, is make sure that you're following hashtags that you're also using so you can see what other people are posting, what opportunities may come up, what may be relevant for you. and use LinkedIn as a newsfeed and at a place to really upskill yourself when it comes to what's going on in the industry or the wider kind of context of things. Share user-generated content. So LinkedIn is not a selfish platform. It loves it when you're sharing other people's content. So a good example being, I'm talking to you here today. I posted yesterday, Crimson posted yesterday that they were delivering this workshop. If you go back onto that post and reshare it and say, attended this workshop, absolutely loved it, here's the 3 things I learned, you've just shared other content that's been generated. Post at your best times and use your analytics. Now these go hand in hand. It will take you about 6 weeks of consistent use to 8 weeks to really understand your LinkedIn analytics. But what that means is, I know that my LinkedIn works really well on a Sunday, but actually when you go online and look at the kind of likes of a kind of BuzzSprout social or Pew Research online, it says that LinkedIn doesn't have high engagement on a Sunday. But that's fine, but I know my audience, so I know it works for me. At the same time, I know that 10% of my following is in Australia and about 10% is from the US, and the majority is from the UK time zone. So I try and post when I know that the Australian colleagues will still be on their LinkedIn and the American colleagues may just be waking up, so that it can hit both kind of continents and engage with others. That means liking, commenting, and sharing what you think about what someone else's post. Again, that's the way that you're going to thrive with LinkedIn. But at the same time, you're going to be showcasing your personal brand to those that you've never met before. So if I like something of yours, everyone in my networks, that's nearly 10,000 people, will be able to see that I've liked it, and vice versa. Before the new year, I commented on a post, just kind of like really randomly. Someone had posted something about diversity and inclusion. I posted saying that I run workshops and gave my 2 cents on a topic. That one comment then drove 4 startups in Amsterdam to get in touch with me, and I was able to obtain a paid business opportunity to go to Amsterdam and deliver a workshop on diversity and inclusion. Right, that one comment brought in a whole month's salary, let's say. So it really does make a big difference. And 3 lessons, which you already probably know, but it's just really important to remind yourselves, is you will get tired. Personal branding and promoting yourself can be tiresome, and it can be really sometimes really tricky on your mental health and your wellness. So please do take time to switch off. Do take time to reflect when you need it. If it's easier, schedule your posts on scheduling tools. If you want to know more about scheduling tools, please do get in touch with me. My email address and my Twitter and my Instagram are kind of on the bottom left-hand screen. But schedule your posts so you don't have to post every day. You can just use it as a newsfeed. You will most definitely face rejections, and that's completely fine. Failure comes before resilience, and that's one of the TED Talks I delivered last year, because 2019 I was rejected more times than you can imagine. But rejections, if you think of them as temporary disruptors, and failure, if you think of it as a temporary disruptor, it's just going to help you with a new path, and it's going to help you to innovate yourself and your medium and what you're looking for. And you most definitely will get things wrong, but that's just innovation in itself. And working in tech, we know that you have to get things wrong for you to bring out a new model, for you to innovate. So think of yourself as, kind of version 1.0 and just the reiterations that you're going to have now moving forward. Please, at the same time, do remember to comment in the chat and ask questions if there's anything you don't understand or anything else I can go through. Equally, for those who are watching, if there's anything that you don't understand or anything you want to go into depth with, please just connect with me and drop me an email, and I'll be more than happy to schedule some time and to go through it. Here's some type of post that you can create. And again, this is one of the most common questions that I gain and people ask is, but what do I post online? Like, I don't even know where to start. So here's 3 that I've delivered that maybe could be of help. The one on the left-hand side is one seeking opportunity. So here I said, I'm looking to work with and support greater London councils and government offices with youth initiatives around education, technology, business, and entrepreneurship. Can my network please tag or introduce me to connections who work at local council offices? Thank you in advance. I've just used 5 hashtags. So in LinkedIn, try not to use more than 13 because then it just gets too complicated and the algorithm doesn't like it because then you're spammy. And in a matter of hours, I had 16 likes and 12 comments and about 4 introductions. Then in the middle is event sharing. So I was delivering a workshop for General Assembly. I shared that, so money, 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 get financially savvy this Friday, July 10th, 2 hours, what it includes. Again, I've used 4 hashtags, so money, digital events, finance, finance tips, and linked the event in. And the last one is announcement, thought leadership, or sharing business news. So this was shared on the LMF Network CIC LinkedIn page itself. So we won as the network for Women in Software Changemakers in 2020. It was sponsored by Makers Academy, Google for Startups, Computer Weekly, and Level 39. That was shared in our company page. And so I reshared it from the company page. So again, ticking that sharing user-generated content, using kind of the right hashtags, and I was able to gain over 87 comments, likes on that, 8 comments, and 2,000 views in my feed in a matter of hours. So here's some of the posts that you can be sharing. Here's what some of the posts look like. As you can tell, they don't have to be quite wordy. They can be straight to the point. They just have to be aligned with you, yourself, and the future self that you're trying to live today. So there's a question that's come in. If your CV and LinkedIn don't match, then recruiters will dismiss your application. Is this correct? To some extent, yes, but your LinkedIn can be more bulked out than your CV, of course, or kind of vice versa, as long as you have the relevant experience and they match. So if you're working, as an example, if you worked in 3 consultancies, make sure that all 3 consultancies are on your CV and on your LinkedIn. But maybe on your CV you have 9 bullet points of experience, and on your LinkedIn you only have 3, right? They do have to match, they have to be aligned. You have to be in a place where you are most importantly creating this holistic personal brand. But what I found is I work on my CV first, and then I go and copy and paste the most prominent aspects of my CV into my LinkedIn so they are aligned. And the other trick is to have more than one CV for different opportunities. So you may have a different CV to be a public speaker, or to share thought leadership, or to keynote conferences. Then you may have to work as a consultant versus running your own consultancy. So as you have these different hyphens that you're working on, you're multi-hyphenated. Most definitely, this is where different CVs come into play. But ultimately, your LinkedIn should be your main point of contact, bringing everything together. If you're a graduate coming out today, how can you make an impression? If you are a graduate coming out today, please use your LinkedIn to share how you've gotten involved in the workplace, if you have. So workplace means retail, it means part-time jobs, it means if you were even an ambassador for your university. If you have never had a kind of corporate style job, think about the societies you're involved in, your extracurricular. You have a lot of experience as a graduate, especially because you are digitally savvy, you are the new generation, you have a holistic and more ethical thinking. Think about those skills and those value adds. Think about what you can add to a value. Is it clearly reflected on your LinkedIn? Where the statement or where the kind of the hyphen piece was before in your headline. If you're a graduate, definitely write looking for X opportunity as a graduate, or graduate with first or 2-1 from this university, looking for first opportunity in marketing and business and technology and innovation. Make it really clear what you're looking for and why. And graduates shouldn't think, or young professionals, or those who are even transitioning from one career to another, shouldn't think that you don't have the skill sets. If anything, you are kind of the new blood and the new way of thinking, and you have a fresh mindset. So think about what skills are transferable. And if you think about the future skills that are required in the next 5 years, the skills that are going to be the most important are critical thinking, the communication skills, their emotional intelligence. They are the softer skills that are going to drive businesses moving forward. So think about how you can reflect that in your content today. Another hack is consider the opportunity that you want in the future. So this is relevant if you are a grad. It's just as relevant if you are aiming to have your first COO position this year. Think about the future job description. What are they looking for? What are the descriptive words? What are the skills they're looking for? What are the kind of key requirements you need? Does your current CV and does your LinkedIn reflect those? So where you can reflect them, definitely do, because when you send your CV and your LinkedIn for job opportunities, if these buzzwords come up in the algorithm, you're going to go tick, tick, tick. Also consider recommendations from your colleagues, from your lecturers, from those that you work around or have worked with. There's kind of tons of tips and tricks that I can go into. Again, if you want more information, please get in touch. We can have a masterclass and I can talk you through it. Again, people buy into people. So this time it's in caps lock because I just want to make that so clear and so relevant. People buy into people, people buy into you. Companies can train you up, but they're looking for you as your value fit. Culture fit does not work anymore. Culture fit has to be cancelled in 2020 because if people are buying the same culture, it means they're the same type of person with a similar mentality. Culture fit does not work. Value fit. These are the values of our business. How do you meet those values? And we want to be able to bring our whole selves to work and be authentic. So people buy into people. They buy into your story. They buy into your future goal. They buy into you as a dynamic person. There's a question: is there a way to get your post more visible to your network? E.g., does it help to change your status before you post? No. You don't have to continuously change your status on LinkedIn by any means. Just kind of stick to one that has credibility. The way to get your posts more visible with your network is to post more frequently. I would not say more than twice a day because, again, it's quite spammy. To get more visible posts, it's making sure your post has a call to action, that there's a clear ask or a task, that you're adding value, and that you're also educating those around you. So again, I'm, the slide where I had all the content and the captions and the posts that I've delivered. But moving forward, if you want to work on really building your post style and I can help you with that, please do get in touch and I'll be happy to go through that with you. The way that you're going to really, drive your personal brand and you're going to really harness these opportunities is remembering that your story is so important. So please do bring your personality and your authentic self when you are posting or when you are delivering content online, because you want to be able to have that flair, and that's really your USP as well. Here's some of the analytics that you can find on LinkedIn and you can use to build your personal brand and ultimately to harness the power of personal branding. So some of the metrics that you use on LinkedIn are likes, shares, comments, and mentions, i.e. instances of your brand popping up in conversations online. How you can find these analytics is if you've constantly worked on LinkedIn for 6 to 8 weeks, of course, where you go in to edit your profile, edit your headshot, edit your work experience. You'll have your dashboard. Your dashboard looks like this. It tells you who's viewed your profile in the last week, post views and share search appearances. So as you can see, in a week when this was taken, I had over 3,000 views in my profile. And then you can click into it and you can get this kind of information. This information is also available in your company business page. We're not going to go into that today, but that's definitely something we can discuss. So as you can see, it tells you in April who were the visitors who visited my kind of profile the most. This is all on free LinkedIn. I don't have Sales Navigator. To be honest, it's not something I've used or I do use. And for most of us, it's not relevant. Sales Navigator is only really relevant if you are from kind of a recruitment agency or looking to source new employees, amongst if you are working like really senior positions. But for what we're trying to do and focusing on your personal brand, it's not something that's important right now. You have to get the foundation right, even for you to use Sales Navigator and kind of really get quality out of it. I mentioned before that I know where the demographics of those who are following me, so locations, the percentages, and then working around the timing of my posts so that I can build my personal brand. In May, I was able to use the power of personal branding and kind of using these approaches to actually deliver a workshop for the University of Melbourne in Australia, being based in the UK. So I remember I woke up at like 8 a.m. and it was an 8 a.m. workshop and they were just finishing their day. But that's how important it is to really know what you're seeking and who you are and be true to yourself, but also think about what works best for you and your audience and really harness that opportunity where you can. And I think this is the one that's the most important. So again, if you think about your vision, mission, and your goal, if you think about what you are being seen as or where you would like to go in the future, as I've already mentioned, my LinkedIn is used to be the go-to public speaker and to gain new opportunities in public speaking and workshop facilitation and in consultancy and D&I training, or kind of as in business mentorship. So as you can see, these are search terms that others have used and my profile has come top of LinkedIn. Founder, business mentor, facilitator, speaker, manager, which is great for me. And that just proves that what I'm doing, I should do more and consistently of to keep directing those search terms. Prior to that, about 3 months ago, the search terms that were coming up were like marketing manager and product manager. That wasn't in line with my vision, mission, and values. And so the way I changed that up was really going back and understanding what I'm posting, why I'm posting, the hashtags I'm using, who's kind of really viewing your profile and who's engaging with the content that's out there. Great. So please do keep the conversations going. We're just getting to the final page now. As we kind of come towards the end, I wanted to also share my Instagram page, and the reason for that is there are so many social tools out there right now, and online personal branding is epically important. So for me and for most thought leaders out there, it's really important to have a holistic personal brand. So you can use WhatsApp, Slack, Facebook, Twitter, WeChat, Instagram, LinkedIn, the dots, you name it, it's out there and now available. So for myself, I have LinkedIn as my primary, Instagram now is my secondary, and Twitter as my tertiary. So these are the 3 profiles that I'm focusing on. My advice is to focus on 2 maximum at a time. That's why Twitter is like a tertiary one and it's just kind of happening in the background, and make sure that they're aligned. And what that means is when people are then searching me up, I'm talking to a different audience on both sides. So with LinkedIn, it's probably more of a B2B relationship. On Instagram, it's a B2C relationship. So B2C meaning I can gain coaching clients, I can really, hit a younger demographic and audience with business and entrepreneurship and tech elements. I can share my podcast with a completely different relevant crowd. I can help to upskill those who may not be as vocal on LinkedIn with their personal brand on Instagram. And again, sharing the same or similar content, but in a different format with the same or similar message. So again, you're optimizing your top half. If you're looking at that, when you look at my Instagram, and I'm, pretty sure that most of you, I haven't met before, and so we have not got each other on LinkedIn or Instagram. What do you think? And again, I'll open this up for the chat. Is your profile picture relevant? Is it clear? It's of me speaking, which is fundamentally what I want to do. What about your name? My name is my name, UK, so really easy to search, and then you can align it with my LinkedIn or any other social profile. Your headline, what do you want them to know about you straight away? So again, I've got founder. Maybe you can't see it as clearly. I've got founder, I've got my podcast, I've got the Woman in Tech Changemaker, and I've got my TED Talk. Your content, why are you sharing it? I'm sharing it to upskill those who are using Instagram as a platform. I'm sharing it to engage with new audience members, but I'm also sharing it to engage with new clients. So 10% of my client leads now come through Instagram, especially my business coaching. My female founders program was sold out in 24 hours, thanks to Instagram, because I didn't post it on LinkedIn. And the second cohort, again, all on Instagram, has been sold, is half full. And I haven't even shared it on any other profile yet. So think about where the different audiences are, their user personas. But ultimately, it's going back to your personal brand. It's going back to you being a change leader. If you're trying to be an ex-CIO, an ex-CTO, an ex-COO, maybe you can use another social platform, such as Twitter or Instagram, to think about sharing your thought leadership, so articles you've said, quotes that you've created, places that you've been referenced, you may be speaking or sitting on the stage somewhere. Where have you gotten involved? What is your thinking behind it? Or also, if you're currently if you're currently a parent and you're juggling work-life balance and you're running a business, what about showcasing those kind of more personal elements and talking about wellness and mental health? Because I talk about mental health quite a lot on Instagram, but I don't necessarily on LinkedIn. Talk about that online so others can see what they can be doing and the tips and tricks that you can share. So think about, your wider vision and mission, your personal brand, and holistically how you can share it out. There's a great question here. Do you use Instagram for holiday snaps as well, or is it work focused? My Instagram is professional, but I do use, as you can see, like image and snaps, like selfies and pictures that I've taken, but all my captions are there for professional or in line with the 5 things that I've already mentioned today, plus mental health. So mental health, tech, business, entrepreneurship, diversity and confidence, or kind of public speaking, as an example. Those things are the same elements that I'm talking about throughout my Instagram in the captions, and then mental health. So it's just bringing a whole different approach. But again, it's about bringing your most authentic self online and using these tools that we have to optimize your brand and to create this holistic view, which is just as important. So as we come to the end, kind of as we started with goal setting, we end with goal setting. What is your goal? Your goal, is it to position your business or company? Is it to position yourself, to offer credibility, to expand business contacts, to source employees, to gain influencer status? Now, you are harnessing kind of social media and online media right now to uplift your personal brand and really to create this sense of life and this new life that you want to live today. So I would say number 2 and number 3 are always where we start. You are positioning yourself and you're offering credibility, because people buy into people. Once you've set that foundation and done the kind of brickwork for your house, then you can grow on top and the rest will come. So I had to position myself and offer credibility. And when I started doing that, then people started coming to my brunches. Then brunches turned into workshops, and workshops turned into corporate events. And in November 2019, after no more than 14-15 months of leading this like brunch idea, I was able to quit my job and take it full time. Since then, I've then devised it into a not-for-profit community angle with a mentorship scheme that has over 150 people signed up in 2 weeks. Business coaching, which is sold out within 24 hours. Free and accessible workshops for everyone around the world. A really supportive Slack group. And I've been able to build up this consultancy side where I do public speaking and workshop facilitation and keynotes and content building. And now I've launched a podcast. But ultimately, all of that is layer on layer on layer, because I'm able to position myself and offer credibility. And you as an end user are thinking, right, well, we believe Sonya because we've seen what she does. She's not noisy. She knows what she's talking about. We want her and we're going to listen to what she has to say, and we believe in her. And so positioning yourself and offering credibility is so important, and the rest will just free flow and come into it. And here's some of the things you can start doing today. So how to succeed with LinkedIn. Week 1 and 2, you clarify your mission, vision, and your values. You update your profile and you like and engage with content. That's also why being in this chat, introducing yourselves, sharing your goals, sharing your statements, and equally what I didn't ask you all to do before, which I'm going to ask afterwards, sharing your LinkedIn URL as the 4th thing is really important, so people can just connect and you can just start building that relationship. Week 2, 3, and 4, you schedule 15 minutes twice a week for LinkedIn activity. Now, when I mean schedule, I mean as if it was a task in your calendar. For example, on a Monday and a Thursday, you've got 15 minutes at 9 a.m. where you're going to go on LinkedIn and you're going to post something, a podcast you've listened to, an article that you've read, a workshop that you've attended, a conversation that you've had, a coffee meeting that you've been a part of. You post at least once a week. You share content that others have posted, and you connect with others actively. And connecting with others means go through your invite list, see who's there. Please obviously don't accept spammy accounts or accounts that you feel are definitely 100% not relevant. But if they're 50% relevant, yeah, connect with them. And also reach out to others and connect with others. Definitely connect with me after this and the other kind of great women that are on this call. The organizers, connect with them as well. But it's really important to build up your community online. Week 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, schedule 20 minutes a week as a task. Post twice a week online. Share content others have posted, connect with others actively, and start using the relevant hashtags. I guarantee you that if you follow this approach, if you work on what we've spoken about today, if you build out your content calendar and you follow kind of the guidelines that I've set, and you will succeed with LinkedIn. You will harness the power of your personal brand. You will achieve what you need to achieve, and most importantly, you will thrive and you will succeed in the goals. And if there's anything else that I can help you with, of course, I am offering one-to-one coaching for those who have attended this call or those who are watching on LinkedIn and CV Masterclass and public speaking presentation, which is normally £189. You can get in touch with me via email or via my social handles at sonyabarlowuk. Again, it's all about investing in yourself today and investing in yourself enough that you're living your future life as your current life, in that mindset, in that confident space, getting better at promoting yourself. I know someone said here, I'm not great at creating an impression of my personal brand. That's what I'm here to help with. If you go through and work on the homework and the tasks that you have that we've set, if you think about what we've spoken about, I guarantee you will achieve your goals. If it's being able to write a book eventually and gaining a publication, as has been mentioned, if it's getting a CEO role, if it's to launch your own business consultancy, I'm here to help. And most definitely, your personal brand is what's going to elevate you. And if there's anything else I can do, please do let me know. That's the end of what I had to present. I know there's tons of questions coming through, so we'll get on them straight away. But ultimately, I want to go back to the whole people buy into people. People buy into you, your story, your background, your information. They want to know what you are about, right? They want to know what you can offer. They want to know what makes you different and what your USP is. That is the ultimate foundation of personal branding. It's to make sure that your USP is shared in the relevant, in the right, in the consistent manner. It's shared to the right people at the right time. And it's, business 101. The way that you are going to thrive is to have your business, your product, your service in the right marketplace, to the right audience at the right time. And that's how we're going to sell. But that's how we're going to succeed. And that's how we're going to really use the power of personal branding to thrive, to succeed, to support, to gain confidence, and to achieve our goals, especially in 2020. So thank you so much for your time. There will be a summary pack sent out after this email, which kindly the organizers will send out. I know that this has been recorded, so obviously you can check back and kind of listen back into it whenever you want to. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. There are questions, we can go through that, but please do get in touch with me and connect with me on LinkedIn. Feel free to take a snapshot of what we've gone through or the conversation you're having. And as we've mentioned before, share it on your LinkedIn and be like, really enjoyed this workshop this morning. Tag as many of everyone who joined as you can. Tag Crimson, tag myself, tag like-minded females. Start generating that content online and just proactively showcasing yourself as someone who is willing to learn, willing to engage, and really focusing and investing in themselves today so they can be the best that they can be tomorrow. I'm just going to work out how to stop sharing screen now.
Thank you, Sonya. That was brilliant. And sorry for the noisy breeze as well. I think there's a bit of an echo from here.
Yeah, that's completely fine.
Okay.
Microsoft Teams is really fiddly when it comes to stop sharing screen, so give me a second. Has it stopped?
Yeah, I think we've got the restriction now, so don't worry.
Okay, so I've stopped sharing, that's fine.
Great. Can you see my slides now?
Yeah, I can see yours.
Yeah, perfect.
Great, thank you so much, Sonya. That was really informative, and I think there's some really good actions and takeaways from that the ladies have got now. I know I certainly found it really insightful, so thank you, and well done for you with your personal brand and what you've managed to do over the past couple of years, for sure. So I'm just going to double check we've gone through some of the questions. We've got about 5 minutes or so, 5-10 minutes of questions, and then we'll wrap up and just let you know about some of the next events. So has anyone got anything that they would like to talk to Sonya about or ask her while we've still got her? I think there's just a couple of questions here. So yeah, the content we'll share with you, that's no problem.
Are there any questions that I've missed out? I actually literally have my phone on the side so I can go through the questions, just making it more efficient. But I don't know if there's any that I've missed out.
So we've talked around this. So I think one from Joanne. So what do you think of the open to work frame on the LinkedIn photo? Does it lose credibility?
No, it definitely doesn't lose credibility. If anything, it's the opposite. It's you're making it really clear to other people that you're open for work, and so they know exactly why you're getting in touch. Actually, I think that's a great question for Victoria and Keisha yourself, as people who are looking to really support women in achieving their best selves and in the kind of the best roles. What do you think about it?
Yeah, we say the same advice, to be honest. I think it's we always say just make sure we don't. There's so many different people out there, so many different women, men who are applying for roles. We can't presume your situation, so the easier you make it for us, the better. So when we're searching or headhunting, we need to understand what your situation is. Are you open to work? What kind of level are you working at? Are you a contractor? Are you an interim? Are you permanent? What really are you looking for? Like you said, make it really clear, because you can't presume that people know, and not just that, people who are hiring and people who are searching for you, they could be brand new into a role, they could be working internally and not actually have much experience of your kind of industry. So if you can make it as clear as possible, because I know when I used to be internal as a resource partner, I had a team there and we had to recruit for the whole head office, but that meant that no one was really a specialist in anything. So we were just going off what your profile was saying. So you've got to make it really clear on how you want to be seen and how you want to be known. So for sure, making it as stand out as possible, so that when we contact you, we feel that actually they might be a good candidate for this. And not just that, when recruiters do hire, we have to pay to actually email a lot of people as well. So if there's more chance that you'll get back to us and you are actually open to that opportunity, it helps us out as well. I don't know if you've got anything to add on that.
100% agree. I do think few people might, and a lot of people that I've been speaking to at the moment, especially kind of like during COVID, and people have been struggling a little bit. They almost don't want to all plaster all over their LinkedIn to say, oh, I'm looking for a role, or posting all the time to say I'm actually looking. Sometimes I think, do I come across desperate? But you don't. It's just you're putting across that you are looking for work. And I do think the open to work, because obviously it's a new thing, that's quite an effective way, without almost having to plaster all over your profile to say I'm actively looking, please hire me. It's quite an effective way to just automatically know, okay, they are open to work, they'll be keen to have a conversation. So I would, because I know a lot of people that I speak to are very like, oh, does it come across that I'm being desperate though if I keep asking all the time? But it's not. It's just at the end of the day, that is your situation, and people know then they are okay to contact you.
I think it's how you put it across as well. And one of the things that we say to our senior candidates is things like how Sonya was saying, add value. So if you want to write an article on something that you've been through, or something that you are really specialist in and want to be known for, then write that article, because then you're not spamming people, you're adding value and you're showcasing yourself, and it just helps us out to get a better understanding of you as a person. So I've got another question come through. Just interested around men. Hi Sonya, interested to learn more about mental health on LinkedIn, on Instagram and then LinkedIn. I've seen a lot of posts on LinkedIn about mental health, which are very welcome. Did you find it didn't welcome, or did it wash out LinkedIn analytics? That's from Geraldine.
Yeah, I think that's such a great question. So I think it's the audience is slightly different. So I do talk about mental health on LinkedIn, but not as much. I talk more about it on Instagram, because I can really build out like really long captions and think about what I'm going through and be able to really build out solid advice. And because the audience on Instagram is slightly, I guess the audience that I'm targeting through both my community and my personal profile are young professionals, or professionals that are still trying to find their passion, or that they are accelerating or transitioning through their career. So it's more about just allowing them to understand and always remind themselves that this is something that's happening, and the pretense we shouldn't play into. Being online means that everyone is showcasing this like perfectionism style kind of life that they're living, right? The aesthetic is everything has got to be pretty and pink and beautiful. Life isn't like that. So the audience that I'm speaking to on Instagram is probably slightly younger, or those that are trying to start their own business or their own community or getting to like the world of work. It's just more or less to remind them that because you're on social media, it doesn't mean everything is great as it looks it is, and people are really struggling. And if you're struggling, this is how you can deal with it. And also because if you think about the stats, people, like we mentioned, people use LinkedIn about 10 minutes a day, right? But on average, about 3 or 4 times a week. On Instagram, the average person uses Instagram about 2 hours a day. So at least kind of, 14 hours, for some people 21 hours of your week, nearly a whole day goes into scrolling through Instagram or being on Twitter. So those are the conversations that need to be had, because that platform is being used so much. And so that's kind of the thinking behind it. We did a post on the Like-Minded Females company page for when Black Lives Matter kind of first started as a movement. I got really frustrated that I couldn't see companies posting about it. And it was beyond me that they were not speaking about something which was so important and so prevalent, and their colleagues were going through. So we shared on LinkedIn, and what we shared was, look, we don't know where to start. I'm a brown woman. I'm no by means living the experience of a Black woman, but here are great Black colleagues and friends and community members that you can connect with, that you can learn from, that can educate you. And that post went viral, and LinkedIn itself shared it. And then I wrote an article on Sifted at the back of it. So, it's not that these aren't the forums, because they most definitely are. It's just the audience that I'm speaking to, that I think, especially around mental health and balancing, especially as a young professional in this workplace, just tends to sit slightly more on Instagram than it does on LinkedIn.
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you. And I guess a question from me, Sonya, I know you talked around some of your failures and that you feel like you've had quite a few, which I'm sure you have. What would you say your biggest failure was and your lesson from it?
Now, honestly, I think now my biggest failure is not trusting in myself. So I gave a really good example. In my first job, my manager was, told me to leave my moods at home. My second job, one of my managers told me that I'm never going to make it anywhere in tech because I'm not technical. So rather than believing in my skill set, I then tried to go learn code for 2 months. And if you think about it, I really admire what coders do, and being more technical. I'm not technical. I'm an analyst. I can do insight, but I can't code necessarily. But the 2 months that I was learning how to code, it doesn't mean I was doing very well. It just means I wasn't focusing on my strengths. And those who were innately, fundamentally great at coding were just getting better. And my third role, there were heaps of other things that we're not going to get into. But the point being that what I could have done better, and I advise everyone to do, is focus on your strengths and focus on your key skills in your areas, and use them to work on and like create foundations in and move forward. And that's why I believe, forums like this, or the attitude that I'm trying to display, is I want you to show up as your best and most authentic self. And that means believing in yourself. And so personal branding is definitely a start of that. But you just knowing what your skills, your strengths, your successes are. So a great way to do that is something I call the 3 S's. So if you go away, and I completely want you to brainstorm in your phone, in your notepad, post-it notes, whatever, write down all the skills or strengths that you have, anything and everything that you think exists, just whatever you can bring to mind. Then for each skill or strength, I want you to write down a success story. So one time you think you've succeeded with it, big or small. And then for each success story, I want you to write down a so what. So a so what is the way you've made an impact or the result that's been driven. Now, this is great because 1, it helps you to really identify what your skills and strengths really are. But 2, and most importantly, what it does is when times get tough and you're feeling a bit down, and you as a human, before you're a woman or a woman in tech, feel like you don't have everything together, you can go back to that and just look at it and be like, actually, I'm good at these things, and I need to remember I'm good at these things, or remind yourself and carry forward, rather than fall into the trap of believing what other people say, and kind of changing yourself. I think that's that's one of my biggest failures. I mean, I've had so many others. If you listen to the talk, I've literally been like fired from work. I didn't even pass my first probation. I was meant to do a PhD last year. I didn't do it. I can't even tell you the amount of failures I've had.
And it's refreshing for other people to hear that as well. So
Totally.
There's no such thing as perfect, and being open about what's not gone right, but there is a lot that what's not that is going right for you now, and it's a case of just redirecting that energy, isn't it? So,
and that's it. It's about energy. It's redirection. It's understanding like what you have to offer, not versus what other people think, but it's what you have to offer. And that's why that first exercise of like, what is your values and what are your drivers and what really makes you tick is so important. Those questions around what makes you happy. I've left a great, if you think about it, when you come out of work, university, you think, right, I need money. You're like, I need money. I worked in a job where I had really good money for not a very long time, but a period of time. I realized at the end of the day I wasn't happy. And so now I, probably earn maybe a third of that, half of that, but I've never been happier. So think about what drives you happy and what your passions are, what your value drivers are, rather than just kind of flicking and saying yes to the first thing.
Thank you, Sonya, and thank you for your time. That was brilliant. So I will share Sonya's deck with you, well, the kind of follow-up actions and some really kind of key points as well to take away. And we will be hosting another Women in Tech event in the near future, so keep an eye out on our events page. And Vic, I know you've got your CIO candidate workshop coming up, haven't you, as well?
Yeah, I do. So that's on the 26th. So if anyone is looking and wants to join that, it is free. So I can send that as a follow-up as well to anyone that's interested.
Perfect. Thank you, everyone.
Wonderful. Thank you all.
Thank you.
And thank you, Sonya.
No, of course. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. See you all soon.
Bye all. Thank you very much.